I was talking about ACLs. There was an article that came out yesterday. I think it was a post that got 3 million views. And it had to do with the rash of ACLs. So you start to look at Micah Parsons, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bosa, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, Tucker Kraft, Zach Ertz, Marshawn Lattimore, Najee Harris, and Daniel Jones. So Najee Harris and Daniel Jones, they had Achilles injuries. Everybody else torn ACLs, and people thought, well, wait a minute here. Is this a trend? So 30 ACLs have been torn so far this season. Now, that sounds like a lot. Well, so it's 30 and counting with 3 weeks to go. In 2024, 38. 2023, 43. 2022, 51. 2021, 57. So it's actually down. And I don't know if this year is an anomaly or maybe we're trending down, but it certainly looks with those numbers that we've gone down every year in the last 5 years. Prior to that, 2020, there were 42, 34 in 2019. Then it went to 53, 52, 49, 50, 45. 2013, there were 63 torn ACLs. So maybe we're trending down, and there's really nothing you can do. I mean, you can strengthen the muscles around your knee, but as far as an ACL, an MCL, a PCL, an LCL, given what these guys go through, and, you got some skill guys here, Parsons, Mahomes, Bosa, Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, these are, it feels like everything's a skill position now, but, some is artificial turf, some is natural turf. That's the study that I would want. If I was going to say, let's do a study on these ACLs, I would say, okay, what's the turf? How often on AstroTurf? How often on natural turf? Why can't we come up with a universal turf that's inside and outside that we, the NFL, commission? And therefore, if you want to have a concert on a Tuesday night, the Bears had a concert, 8 days before they played their game against the Browns. So you're going to tear up the field. That's what I'm trying to understand. Is it the field? Is it the turf? Is it maybe shoes that you're wearing? And I'm sure the NFL, at least I hope they are, they've commissioned a study to look at this. But these are numbers that you should at least know, why are we having these ACLs? Is there something that is maybe suspicious with this or something we could pinpoint on this? But, the fact that it's 30 and counting, but when you have star players get hurt, that's when we take notice. Micah Parsons and Patrick Mahomes, two of the biggest names offensively and defensively in the game. Micah Parsons' non-contact ACL. That's what I want to know. Patrick Mahomes got hit and landed on. But I want to know, Malik Neighbors, the Meadowlands turf, famously bad for a long, long time. But if the NFL is going to look at this and we're going to go to an 18-game schedule, I think we got to be fair to these players that there are certain – I watched the Commanders, the turf, when RG3 got hurt, that was criminal. But you see some of these fields. I'll go back to the field when the Dolphins are in Miami. It was the Bengals against the Niners with Joe Montana. And a Bengal lineman, Tim Krumrie, blew out his knee, and the turf was terrible. We've had a couple of Super Bowls where the players talk about the turf is slick and guys falling down in the Super Bowl. So that, to me, is what's alarming. Not that, 30 and counting, oh, my God, Mahomes and Micah Parsons, Malik Neighbors. Okay. Did they get hurt? Non-contact. Where did they get hurt? Did they get hurt on natural turf, AstroTurf? Can we come up with something that's universal so these players can prepare for that? Because you don't want to go to a game and go, what kind of shoes can I wear? Yes, Eaton.
Yeah, I'm reading a thing here from the NFLPA. It says the data supports that artificial turf is significantly harder on the body than grass.
Yeah.
Specifically, players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries when playing on artificial turf.
Yeah.
Of those non-contact injuries, players have a 32% higher rate of non-contact knee injuries on turf and a 69% higher rate of non-contact foot and ankle injuries on turf compared to on grass. So the knee injury, it goes up 32%, but ankle injuries is up 69% on turf.
Yeah. And if you've ever played on it or even walked on it, and then you wonder, players have talked about certain surfaces feel like concrete, and especially in December when you fall and all of a sudden it's like, you bounce off those. It doesn't help absorb anything. Yes, Eden.
And I think the thing with turf is that it isn't so much how hard it is, it's that your foot sticks differently.
Yeah.
And that's why you end up getting these ankle and foot injuries, knee injuries, because the turf is just so much more sticky.
But you've got marquee guys, Micah Parsons, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bosa, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill. Like, these are marquee players getting hurt. Yeah, Paulie.
I went back, and you mentioned the Washington Commanders back when they were the Redskins. Robert Griffin III, his injury in the 2013 NFL wildcard game that completely derailed his career. That field is horrid looking. I know it's late December, but it looked like something for a bunch of kids would play in a park that was unattended. There's just chunks of dirt and very little grass. He plants his foot in a pile of dirt, and that's it.
Yeah, that felt like it was a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Oh, this feels awful.
It is. It was embarrassing to watch that. And it's a playoff game. That's where owners get together and maybe come up with a product, commission a study, and maybe they've done this. But I'm just looking at these numbers, and everybody was going, oh, my God, look at all of those torn ACLs. And then you realize, no, you can go back. You can go back to 2018 when we had 53 of these. 52, 49, 50, 2021, 57. We're actually trending in a better direction, but I just wonder, can you come up with something that can be used both indoor and out? Or maybe you just have indoor and you have outdoor, so these players can at least know what's in store. And you got to test this in the weather. What's it like in September? What's it like in January? Because, and maybe it has something to do with the shoes that you're wearing as well. But it seems like an alarming number because a couple of marquee guys got hurt and are done for the year. It's not an alarming number now. I don't know where everybody was, including myself, in 2021 when there were 57 torn ACLs. That seems to be an alarming number. All right, we'll get to phone calls coming up, 877-3DP Show. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Yeah, Paulie.
I just found this from NFL.com, and it was published yesterday, December 15, 2025. Safety and consistency in field surfaces, NFL and NFLPA mandatory practices. They've just made an announcement with the Joint NFL Surfaces Committee, which I didn't know they had, to develop higher standards and establish greater consistency across NFL playing surfaces. I'll send this around. But the NFL.com press release went out yesterday at 3:35 about this topic. Coincidentally,
yeah,
it's been in play.
Yeah, but why now? Where was this before? Once again, when you get big names that get hurt, then all of a sudden people want answers here.